You guys want to see something cool? Katie Wilson, our preferred Seattle mayoral candidate, actually won the primary. It's a jungle primary, so she and Bruce Harrell will still be facing off in the general. But yeah, no, she actually beat him by a couple points. 1.4, but the lead has since increased as the rest of the votes are counted. 1.7, 1.8. Really good news. I phone banked in spirit. You need to get your ass phone banking in real life, okay? It's a neck and neck race between a shitty ass incumbent and a good newcomer. I talked with her. I went to the goddamn primary party, the watch party.
Today is primary election day, and the race for Seattle mayor is drawing a lot of attention. Incumbent Bruce Harrell is seeking his second term. Preliminary results show that he'll likely advance in the general election alongside Katie Wilson.
This is prior to the... Oh, no, it's not prior to the outcome.
Who is leading the race by about 1,000 votes. KOMO's Jackie Ken caught up with both candidates. Jackie, this race is looking very close.
It really is, and we spoke with both candidates at their watch parties tonight. Wilson said she's excited and surprised to take this early lead, considering progressive voters typically vote later, meaning she expects her lead to grow even larger in...
That's the hope. Can I full screen here?
For sure, our political analyst tells me this is going to get even more competitive. About last night, early primary results had Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell trailing challenger Katie Wilson.
I'm feeling great. We were not expecting to be ahead on the first drop, right?
And I always see victory and I always see an outcome that I want. So
shut up,
again,
man.
we sort of knew this was going to be a close race all along.
But KOMO political analyst Ron Dotzauer cautioned against drawing conclusions. What does it mean?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that happened yesterday. Number one, you certainly had a constituency that was...
That's a big-ass cowboy hat talking about a municipal race in Seattle. Where are you from?
What's the feeling here?
We are feeling amazing. I mean, I think we knew that we had momentum, but these results are better than I imagined.
One of the things that Mayor Harrell talked about was nothing has come easy in his political career. He expects a fight. What do you expect moving forward here as we transition toward a general election campaign?
I mean, it's absolutely going to be a fight, right? We have 13 weeks left till the election, but I think what these results show is that Seattle voters are on board with our vision of an affordable Seattle, a livable Seattle, a Seattle where you do not need to make six figures in order to thrive. And, you know, I really also think that they show what we can see with our own eyes, right? Bruce Harrell is doing a bad job, right? Rents, housing costs are through the roof. We're going to fight to bring them down. Homelessness is out of control. We are going to bring people inside. This city is unaffordable. We are going to fight so that...
Thought she was going to say for a second, we're going to bring them down. Homelessness is out of control. We are going to slam dunk their ass across the county line. Seriously, you know, don't phone bank in spirit, phone bank in actuality, all right? If you live in or around Capitol Hill, you need to be stapling Katie Wilson for mayor posters to every goddamn wooden post you can find. She's pretty cool. It looks like she's up now 5K votes. Is that true? She's all the way up to, hold on. Seattle mayoral primary results. Takes a few days to count. Progressives tower over moderates in early Seattle primary results. Yo! Harrell fell even further behind progressive organizer Katie Wilson, who led the incumbent mayor by more than 4 percentage points. Last time I heard, it had been raised to like 2. All right. You miss a moment. Been busy moving, I guess. Jesus. That is fantastic. Just got to win it out in the general. Again, generals in 13 weeks. It's all Vosh. Much as I'd love to take credit, they're running a real good campaign. I went to the primary watch party and there were lots of good folks there. A lot of them who knew me, which means they're good folks. But yeah, PV is going to be running laps around Seattle, so y'all need to get involved. Senator Cantwell just endorsed Bruce. No one gives a shit about Senator Cantwell. Establishment endorsements don't mean shit these days anyway. Can't wait for the political ad where they attack her by saying she talked with Vosh. I think the Bruce Harrell campaign literally already did that. I think they put out like a press release saying like, did you know Katie Wilson talked to this evil racist pedophile or something to that effect? I'm not joking. Shows desperation on their part. They did. If Katie Wilson's campaign is, I mean, a tenth as smart as they've been up until this point, they'll just ignore it because it's obviously desperate. I am getting a bit of a flashback to that when Destiny threw his hat in the ring, not to run, but to support Omaha, Nebraska mayoral candidate. They're going to drop my views in Israel. Yeah, they're going to accuse me of not being sufficiently loyal. I can't join PVDC without a US phone number. Yeah, you can get one via like Google Voice or something comparable. It's just the way canvassing software works, you know, directing US numbers into a generic canvasser number. Either way, you all need to get involved to the point where any potential negative consequence of my involvement is overwhelmed by the positive consequence of PV's involvement, okay? What's some shitty, you know, attack press releases compared to a few, you know, tens of thousands of phone bank calls? I doubt voters care about that, TBH. Me too. But voters do care about what they're told to care about. That being said, it would be shockingly desperate on the part of Bruce Harrell if he actually tried to make that like a meaningful line to go after a popular progressive candidate. I'll go phone bank after eating lunch. Good. Have a good time with it. God damn, more than 4 points ahead. Oh, I really hope she wins. The mem date? Seattle deserves a progressive candidate, okay? Seattle demographically is more progressive than New York City is, you know? It is insane that we have some dipshit, milquetoast, you know, Democrat as a mayor. Vosh, I saw your state senate, though. How the f*** do you have a 13 to 12 Dem majority? Gerrymandering. It's just a state version of the districting issue, you know? A lot of tech and military defense money in the Seattle suburbs. Yeah, but here's the thing. Those fucks don't vote Republican. Maybe their bosses do, but the people who work for Lockheed, Boeing, Microsoft, Amazon, the actual, like, day-to-day tech workers, overwhelmingly are Democrat. Like, San Francisco, source of a huge amount of tech money. Sure, Elon Musk is a Republican, but the people who work there are Democrats. Shitlibs? Not even. A lot of them are progressives. That's my point. They're centrist establishment Dems. No, I disagree. A lot of these people are young and educated. They're progressives. I know it's crazy to imagine that so many people, but this is like a meme, right? The leftist transgender Lockheed Martin, you know, coder or whatever. It's a whole thing. DoD contractors, not contractors, just people who work in tech, which is a huge part of where Seattle gets its money. You know, people who work for Amazon, people who work for, you know, Microsoft. These people aren't just Democrats. They tend to be progressive Democrats. There's a lot of money on the other side. My husband's a program manager for the coding team at Lockheed, and he and everyone he knows are all Democrats, very progressive. No wonder there are so many trans people in Seattle. And unironically, yeah. Our company works with APAC, but we're all hardcore lefties. It's rough out there, huh? It's rough out there. Dissonance? I don't really think it's cognitive dissonance. I just think that a lot of these people are well educated. They want to get paid for their, you know, computer science degrees. And these are the businesses nearby. Amazon and Microsoft are the more ethical choices. But at the end of the day, the Defense Department indirectly employs millions of people, you know? I know it's crazy in a vacuum to go like, oh, I'm a Lockheed leftist. But a lot of these things happen incrementally, you know? You get your computer science degree, you live in Seattle, you have 4 roommates, you can barely afford the rent, even splitting it 5 ways, and then you get a job. What's the job? Well, it pays $180,000 a year, and you get to work at Boeing. Now, you don't like Boeing, but you do like the idea of being able to afford a flat of your own, maybe have a beautiful partner you get to hang out with, cook meals together. And you think, okay, well, Boeing is like a Leviathan, right? It's a behemoth of industry that will exist whether or not I get involved in it. At the very least, if I get this job, a leftist will be taking Boeing money rather than like, I don't know, some shitheel Elon Musk defender or whatever. That's how all of these things work, you know? We're not talking about people who are going to fight on the front lines or whatever. We're talking about people who are just doing procedural back-end tech work. Don't people get more conservative the more affluent they get? Not necessarily. In fact, upper middle class people, middle to upper middle class, are actually the most progressive bloc. The most conservative people, like in a quartile, are poor people, because poor people are stupid and poorly educated. As you get wealthier, people tend to get more well-educated, more cultured. You get wealthier, people tend to be more educated, more cultured, and more progressive. It's only past a certain point, and I mean like a very high income point, where you start to see that massive, like, disproportionate bent towards conservatism. And that's because these motherfuckers just care about lowering taxes. Interesting, right? Well, that's probably how it is, intelligent donkey. Does streamer money dry up? Yeah, it did, actually. You got a white name. You can fix that. Yeah, Dark Matter, I talked about it after the primary results. I just think a lot of people, and I've talked about this extensively now at this point, but a lot of people still, for some reason, are like trapped in the mindset that their natural ally are the noble, poor proletariat. even though that noble, poor proletariat, you know, poor folk, whatever, rural or urban, overwhelmingly tend to be more conservative than you are, you know? You're looking for upper middle class educated people. And I guarantee you, in Seattle, I guarantee you this, okay? If you took a look at the primary results by district, Katie Wilson versus Bruce Harrell, you'd see a lot of Bruce Harrell support in the International District. You'd see it along Rainier and Jackson, streets that have a lot of poverty on them. You'd see it in Soto, and the biggest most pro Katie Wilson districts that you would see would be full of students and yuppies. Guarantee you. So you take a look at like, ignore like the super rich areas, maybe, you know, around Volunteer Park or Queen Anne, but you want to take a look at Capitol Hill, I guarantee you that's 90% Katie Wilson, you know? You want to take a look any of these areas where you've got lots of young, educated people. Go look at UW, anything around UW. University District, 100% Katie Wilson, you know? Yuppies are our friends. They're our allies. They're insufferable, sure, but you know who else is insufferable? Rural hicks. I don't know why we pretend they're not. Jesus. Yeah, I'm a city boy. I grew up in Los Angeles. Now I live in Seattle. I don't understand the pretense. A lot of people who have spent their entire lives in urbane, affluent districts pretending like they're the natural ally of people who disagree with them on every single position they have, people with whom they have nothing in common. What am I talking about? Sorry, I slipped into a fugue state and I started going off on my reverse Pol Pot speech again. Why is Vosh dressed like a UPS worker? Nice try. UPS workers don't wear trucker jackets. Wait, actually, do they? They do sit down a lot. Well, nowadays they all just wear shitty polos. No. They just, yeah, they have like a vest on over the polo, long sleeve or short sleeve, depending on the weather. It makes sense if they wore trucker jackets, though, considering how often they sit down. UPS employs truckers, lol. Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with wearing a trucker jacket. Like, truckers don't all wear trucker jackets, right? Anyway, sorry. I really am happy for Katie Wilson's campaign. Being ahead by like 4 or 5 points, that's huge.